Big reopen in Florida. We'll continue to look at how that will roll out as we continue to hear right now from our local representatives in Washington. 6th District Congressman Michael Waltz joins us again. Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks for stopping by again.
My pleasure.
So many things to touch on. Let's start with the second version of the Paycheck Protection Program rolling out this week. As we know, many people were left out the first time. Are you optimistic this will go better the second time around?
Yeah, so two things there. One, what Treasury is telling us is despite the headlines, 75% of the loans that they pushed out went to those that needed $150,000 or less for their businesses. But, there have been some larger companies that took advantage of the program. I think they need to step up and be good citizens. Some have given those monies back. That's why we did a set aside this time of $60 billion for the smallest lenders to get that tend to have relationships with very small companies. Look, I was a business owner myself. My heart is breaking for those who put their entire livelihoods into trying to keep people employed. What I worry about is that even at $500 billion, that is just going to be a drop in the bucket for the overall need in a $22 trillion GDP. And that's why I think where it makes sense, where it's safe to do so, that we have to start reopening. This is just not sustainable. The federal government can't print our way out of this problem. Where it makes sense, we have to start reopening. And that needs to, I think that needs to be bottoms up. There are counties in Florida that fortunately still have not had a single death as a result of this virus. That is a very different experience, say in the Panhandle or in rural Florida or North Florida. That's a very different experience than say downtown Miami. And that's where local officials, local health officials, county councils, mayors should have a say for what makes sense for their communities.
How do you want to see this rolled out over the next couple of weeks when we reopen such a large economy in the state of Florida?
Well, the federal government, the administration has put out their guidelines. They are just guidelines, but I do think we need to follow them. And phase one, again, in counties where it makes sense that have seen a decline, or in some cases have seen zero deaths, you still have your vulnerable population isolated. You still have your elderly population isolated. The governor and the Florida National Guard have been surging resources to our nursing homes and assisted care facilities. But look, I think at the end of the day, my word for the day is, or term for the day, is personal responsibility. We need to step up as citizens, abide by the guidelines, wash our hands, wear masks, keep social distancing. Business owners and the government can't be everyone's parent.
How soon do you think the Central Florida economy can recover? So much of it is driven by tourism.
I think it's going to be tough, I'll be honest with you, because so much of our tourism is driven from abroad. Over 100 million foreign citizens come into the Central Florida area. I think it's going to be tough for a while, but the amazing thing that I see are people stepping up to help each other. I was at a food bank last week, and there were as many cars bringing in food as there were cars taking away from food. And at the end of the day, it's Americans stepping up to help Americans. But I think for a tourism-based economy with the cruise lines, with international tourism, it's going to be tough going for a while. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, but I do think at a very local level, just getting kind of restaurants, beach-based businesses, and others up and running at a basic level again is something that we can do.
Congressman, as you know, the right and the left see things very different on this, and let's focus on two issues. One would be, in essence, bailing out states that have financial difficulties with coronavirus. And there's also a push for the election in November to move things to voting by mail. What are your thoughts on those two issues?
Yeah, I think you're going to see that debate play out, and it's a tough one, particularly federal help to state governments. Remember, we can't lose sight of the fact this is your money. This is everybody's tax dollars just going to different places. Fortunately, Florida has been well run, but we can't have situations on the one hand where first responders are getting laid off, but on the other hand where people's money from Florida or Montana is going to help a state like Illinois that has completely mismanaged their pension system. I don't think that's fair to use those dollars to bail out that bad management. On the voting piece, look, it's not necessarily the vote by mail that's the issue. It's policies that come along with that, like we see in California, where you have ballot harvesting and those types of issues. That's what we have to watch out for. And I think you're going to see that debate play out as well. This isn't the time for finger pointing. Look, we need to get through this crisis. And to the extent that people want to blame someone, blame the Chinese Communist Party, who covered up this virus, who didn't do the responsible thing to let us know what was going on, disappeared journalists, disappeared doctors, and still have not let us get to ground zero to truly understand the nature of this thing. China will pay for this, and I've already introduced legislation to make sure that they do so.
Congressman, we got to leave it there. Always appreciate you coming on. You're always great to come on the program and talk about the issues, so thank you.
All right, absolutely.